It's time for a point slope form intro screencast. So this is the first of two screencasts that we're going to be using for point slope form. Specifically, in this screencast, we are going to interpret and write equations of lines in point slope form. And then in the next screencast, you will be talking about writing the equation of a line in point slope form when you're given 2 points on the line. And before you will be successful in this lesson, you need to know how to use the calculate slope formula when given 2 points. And after this lesson, you'll be prepared to write and graph equations of lines in any form. And this is a very popular form in the higher level math. So we just want to make sure that you have a good introduction. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m is the slope of the line and x1, y1 is a point on the line. Let's take a look at some examples. So here we have 3 examples, and some things that I'd like to point out is that there is a variable x and a variable y. The variable y is on the left, the variable x is on the right. On the right-hand side, we do have a number multiplied by a quantity in parentheses, and we are not distributing. That is not the form. On the left-hand side, we have a number and a variable, and yet we're not subtracting. There needs to be something there with that y. So this is just the form, and it's an acceptable form that people all over the world know, and this is what they expect to see when you see point slope form. Now let's try to interpret some of this. So some of the questions that you might be asked is, what is the slope of the line? Or can you tell me a point on the line? So let's take a look at what the slope is. As you can see, the slope is the number that you're multiplying by the quantity. So in this example, our slope is just 1/2. Now for the point on the line, that answer is going to be 3/8. And I realize that that might not be something that you were expecting. So let's talk about why it's +3 and +8. So if you notice in our template, we have a negative. It's x minus x1. And so that means in our parentheses, we are expecting a negative. And in our example, you can see we do have that subtraction. We're expecting that negative. So that means that the number right after that minus sign is going to be our x1. And that's where we're getting our 3 from. Likewise, as we're looking at our model, we're expecting subtraction. And in our example, we have subtraction. So since those match up, my y1 is going to be just 8. And that's where we got the 8 from. So that is an example of how we interpret. Let's take a look at our next example. First, we'll find the slope. So our slope is -6. Now, remember, we're expecting a subtraction. We have a subtraction. So that means our x1 is just going to be +1. In our model, we're expecting subtraction, but in this case, we have addition. That's the opposite of what I need. So my y1 is not going to be +2. I need the opposite of 2, which is going to be -2. So our x1, y1, a point on my line, is 1, -2. If you want, you can pause the screencast and find the slope and the line of this last one. I will be going through the correct answer in a moment. So our slope is just -4/3. Our x1, y1, remember in our model we're expecting subtraction. In our example we have addition. So that means that my x1 is not going to be 8. The x1 needs to be the opposite of 8, which is -8. Then for my y1, we're expecting subtraction. I have subtraction. So my y1 will just be 2. So this is how we would interpret point-slope form. For the last problem of the screencast, we are going to write the equation of the line in point-slope form. So we're given a slope and we're given a random point on the line. We need to write the equation in this form. So I'm just going to go left to right. What I have up here, I've got a y minus y1 equals m, and then in parentheses x minus x1. So I know that in my problems, like we had on the last page, I'm just going to write y minus. Now I need the y1. So the y1 is the y-coordinate of our point, and that's just going to be 18. Then we have equals. Then we need the slope. So our slope is just -3. Okay. Now I just need the open parentheses x minus. Now I've got to get my x1. So here's my x1. So my x1 is -10. Now, this is not how we would write a final answer. We're not going to write minus a negative. So all I'm going to do is change that minus a negative to addition. And this is your final answer. The y minus 18 equals -3x times x plus 10. This fits our model. We don't distribute, you don't simplify. This is what point-slope form looks like. So that was your introduction into point-slope form, and you should have picked up on how to interpret and write equations of lines in point-slope form.